Aloha and welcome to Business in Hawaii with Reg Baker. We broadcast live every Thursday at 2 o'clock in the Pioneer Plaza in beautiful downtown Honolulu at the Think Tech Studios. This is a show that is about success stories in Hawaii. We've heard the negatives and we wanted to make sure that everybody knows that there are some positives out there. There are successes, there are people who have made it work. And we've got one of those people here as a guest today. We've got Andria Tupola, who is one of our elected officials over the state capitol, but she does a whole lot more than that, and we're going to hear about that today. Andria, welcome.
Hi, thanks, Reg. Thanks for having me.
Oh, of course. Now, you've been in Hawaii a long time, have you not?
Born and raised, yes.
Right, and whereabouts were you born and raised?
I was born in Kahuku and raised in Hawaii Kai.
Very nice. And so you went to school there and...
Pretty much. I graduated from Kamehameha schools.
Ah, very good. And where did you go to college?
I went to Brigham Young University in Utah, and then I got my master's at UH Manoa, and I'm finishing my PhD at UH Manoa.
PhD, huh?
Yep.
Wow, very good. And you've got an interesting thesis, I guess, you're working on in your PhD. And what's that?
Yeah, so I'm doing tone deafness. I'm studying with a professor, Toru Yuba, and his method is basically that everyone is able to sing, but there's a muscle, the cricothyroid muscle, that needs to be stretched out in order for some people to be able to match pitch better. So my dissertation is on the ability for college-age students to go through the Yuba method, which is actually minutes, not hours, not days, not even a year, minutes where you can correct your ability to match pitch, and if it is able to happen in a group setting.
So you've got a good musical background, don't you?
My whole life, yeah. I sing, I play piano, play flute, play a whole bunch of things.
So now, and part of having that musical background, you can kind of be a conductor too, right?
I definitely am a choir conductor. I love choir.
All right. So I'm going to lead into this later, but you might be able to be a conductor for some of the things that goes on over at the state capitol, maybe. You know?
People always joke about that because they said, "Oh, this choir director got elected to office. Is she going to help the legislature sing?" I guess to some degree, yes, because it is a matter of, melding voices together. So a lot of it is similar to my job in real life, but I do it in the community now.
If people can sing together, they might even be able to work together.
What a concept.
Hey.
Ugh. Well, if that's the case, then we better sing more often at the state capitol.
We got to start practicing.
Yeah,
very
definitely.
Good. So now you are now representing a district out in Waianae. Right. Now, how did you go from Hawaii Kai to Waianae?
So my husband is from Kahuku, and his job was in the Kapolei area. So we started to look for homes out that way, and when we got back from the mainland, we both attended college in Utah. He attended the University of Utah. I told him we could move home, but we weren't going to live in his hometown or my hometown.
Because so this was a compromise.
To some extent, I just wanted a new us. You know, I wanted us to make a new name for our family. I have a very prestigious family. My father's a family court judge, and you know, it's always this, you living in the shadow of your family members, and my husband is like a hometown hero. So I just wanted us to be in a new place and just create a new sense of us, who we are as a family.
Well, and you've certainly done that. You've become quite a popular person out there, haven't you?
I really didn't think I was going to do this, I'll be honest. When I moved out to Waianae, I knew that I was going to do something to impact the community, but I never thought I'd run for office.
What convinced you to do that?
I think in 2012, I always joke that, you know, nobody really cares what's going on in government until you buy a house and you have kids. Once you start paying taxes and people start teaching your kids, then all of a sudden you want to know who's in charge of your government.
It becomes real quick.
Right. So we bought a home in 2010, and that's the first time where my eyes kind of opened. And then, of course, my kids were young. They're 3 and 4. They started going to school. So I started becoming a little bit more civically engaged. I'm not going to say that I understand, like, politics, even though I am an elected official. I still am at the very baby stages of understanding it. But I did understand it because I lived out of the country. I lived in Venezuela. I lived there for a year and a half. And so when I was there, I kind of saw how like a government can kind of dictate the happiness or misery of a whole society. And so in 2012, I kind of saw that. That was the year that Mitt Romney ran for president and Obama was up for his second election. And a lot of things opened my eyes because I could see some remnants of what was the struggle in Venezuela happening here in America. You know, people wanting help, but what is the balance between getting that help from the government, being dependent on the government, and empowering the people.
There's a fine line there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of discussion in the community all over the United States about when is too much, when people are actually living off the government and everyone's supporting them, and when is it too little where the government's not doing enough.
Well, not to beat an old proverb to death, but at what point do the people stop fishing?
Right,
You
right.
know, and they start looking for just a handout to fish.
Well, and I think the issue with that is because over time the mentality changes that somebody owes you something, you know? You pay taxes.
Entitlement, the
Yeah.
age of entitlement. Aren't we kind of in that age right now? I mean, there's a lot of people out there that feel they're entitled to a lot of different things.
Right, and rightfully so. When taxes are so high, they feel like people should be taking care of them, right? Because I pay taxes, so somebody should be trimming this hedge, somebody should be fixing that pothole, and granted they should be, but have we lost a little bit of a sense of ownership over our own communities?
You know, and it's an interesting point. You know, being a CPA, I work with taxes quite a bit, and I hear a lot of the horror stories that come in. And if you think about it for a minute, if you're self-employed, and we're going to probably get into this in the second part of the show because you've got an expo coming up that we're going to talk a little bit about. But if you're self-employed, you've got to pay the federal tax, maybe 15, 20%. You got to pay the state tax, which is another 10%. Then you got self-employment tax, which is another 16%. Then you got the GET. If you add all this up, it's 50 plus cents on every dollar goes to taxes. So where can you go? I mean, if you do a little bit of business that's maybe not reported, that's a 50% return. You know, people start asking those kind of questions, and that's a conversation that I have with clients all the time. You know, and it's tough to, you know, let them believe that they're really getting a lot of value for that 50% on every dollar.
Right, right. I think that's why I often hear this saying that, you know, people do tend towards the Republican values when they own a business. Once you have to pay taxes and you realize how much you're giving to the government and how much autonomy you don't have anymore because you actually are giving the majority of your income back to the government. That's when you really start questioning who's running the show.
That's right. And am I getting what I pay for?
Right.
You know, it's an age old. I think these are probably some of the discussions people had a couple thousand years ago. You know, and so it's not new, but it is frustrating and it is challenging. And you get to deal with that on a fairly constant
Lucky
basis,
me, yes,
right?
every day, all day. In fact, my phone's blowing up right now because of something happening in my community. So, yeah, it's just, I mean, we have one way in, one way out in Waianae. And so whenever there's road work, when there's people who block a lane without letting, I have a Facebook group. And so, you know, I do use social media to communicate with my constituents, which is actually something kind of new because a lot of politicians don't do that. But I regularly converse with them. I have a West Side town hall. So I have live town halls, but as you know, many people in Hawaii work 2, 3 jobs. So realistically, how many people can come to a live town hall? Well, in Waianae, not very many people. So we have an online one, but I also have a West Side traffic alert page that has over, where are we at? 18,000. It's huge. Yeah, it's huge. In fact, I need to figure out if I can still maintain that. Between 12,000 members in that group, and everyone's looking at it because they want to know when are the roads blocked. You know, people say, oh, you can just go on Waze. It's an app where it tells you where there's traffic, but it doesn't tell you when it's going to end. It doesn't tell you why it's being blocked. It doesn't say who. And so even on the radio, they're in the morning and they're in the afternoon. Like right now, it's noon, right? And so Hawaiian Tel decided to block a right lane right in the corridor of Nanakuli. And so on this Facebook group, everyone's conversing because now from Ko'olina to get to Waianae is 1 hour.
Oh my gosh.
And so, of course, people want to contact me and who's in charge. And so I'm trying to call Hawaiian Tel. So, you know, I think as far as you're saying, you know, dealing with these things, the point, I think, of being an elected official, and this is just me, it's not what everyone thinks, is being in touch with the everyday quality of life for the people you represent. Because I would say some people are very pie in the sky, you know, want to solve huge problems, which is important. However, the day-to-day quality of life makes a huge difference in my district.
Well, that's what touches everybody. That's what gets their attention. You know, and that's why they say all politics is local politics.
Yeah.
You know, a very important point. I mean, something was happening in Washington. Maybe not so much people could be reaching out. But you block their access to get home, you're going to hear about it.
Right, right. And people, you know, they can call my office, but the cool thing about this Facebook group is people are taking pictures, passengers, not drivers. They're taking pictures, posting up what it looks like, what's the current conditions, and that's just, you can't get that through Waze, the app, and you can't get that from Danielle Tucker on the radio. I love Danielle, and she does a lot of coverage by looking at our Facebook group. In fact, lots of reporters are in my groups because they're looking for news stories.
I hope she gives you credit for this.
Oh yeah, me and Danielle, we talk all the
Okay.
time. No, I think it's great that she actually is reporting for the West Side because we don't even have traffic cameras. The farthest the traffic cameras go is Kapolei, and the farthest FSP, the Freeway Safety Patrol, it only goes up to Kunia.
Really?
So if anything breaks down from Kunia out to Waianae, you're on your own. There's no tow service, there's no traffic cams. So this is really, this thing that I did really filled the gap that really was not there. And there was no type of communication.
You should get some government funding for that.
I always laugh though because I tell people, look, this great solution and it's free. We didn't have to pay for it. In fact, it manages itself. Anybody can post up what's going on. I'm not the only one that can post. Everybody can, which is great because I feel like the concept that I believe in for leadership is that people want to be led, like as in a tribe, and not managed like in a factory. People want to be inspired like in a tribe, and how do you do that? You let them interact, you let them communicate. But I feel like sometimes in our government it's the opposite. It's this huge divide between...
There is, and I think, you know, and not everybody falls in this category, but sometimes the people in government think they know better
Right.
what's good for the people without really having much input with the people. So it's kind of a sad state of affairs.
And I would say that it's almost contrary to island lifestyle. Island lifestyle is you want to interact, you want to talk, you want to connect. But a lot of these agencies are not connected. There's not a lot of, in fact, a few of the meetings I went to at the legislature, you know, there are certain agencies asked, what do you think the biggest problem is? And they said, coordination. There's no coordination. I don't know what BWS does when HPD does this or when the bus does that. And something as simple as communication, increasing that. How has that changed the mode of life for the Waianae Coast?
You know, it's an interesting dilemma because sometimes the different agencies are state agencies versus city agencies, and there's different budgets, there's different little turfs that people want to protect. Yeah, it's a challenging environment sometimes.
It is, and at the end of the day, nobody cares what agency it is. They just want it fixed.
Of course, when you're laying on the street and you need some help.
Right.
You know, I don't care who it is, just get me some help.
Right. They're like, I don't care if this is city or state. I need you to fix this. So I have to be very resourceful in the way that I serve my community.
Yeah, no, it's a challenging environment, and I know we were talking a little bit earlier. There's a lot of moving parts to this, and it's tough, and those moving parts tend to shift and move on you sometimes, and you certainly got your hands full trying to handle some of this stuff, particularly in an area that maybe historically has been a little neglected over the years.
I would agree. I serve a very underserved population that definitely hasn't maybe had as much as they could, but I would argue that there are so many resources out there, and there are so many willing people and willing hands to help. But again, back to my model of the tribe, they're waiting for a leader. Somebody to say, let's move here, let's do this is the strategy. And I'm not talking about the 2030 strategy, I'm talking about the 2016.
Well, be careful, you may end up falling into that role here pretty soon. But we're coming up on a break, so we're going to take a short 1 minute recess here. But when we come back, maybe we can touch a little bit on some of those resources you were mentioning that would be available to people that are free.
Oh, yes.
Hey. All right. This is Reg Baker, Business in Hawaii. We're going to be taking a quick break. We'll be back in about 1 minute. We're going to continue our conversation with Andria. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chris Leatham with The Economy and You, and I'd like to invite you each week to come watch my show each Wednesday at 3 p.m.
You're watching Think Tech Hawaii, meeting people we may have not otherwise met, helping us understand and appreciate the good things about Hawaii. Great content for Hawaii from Think Tech.
Aloha, my name is John Waihe'e, and I used to be a part of all the things that you might be angry at. I served in government here and may have made decisions that affects you. So I want to invite you in. I want to invite you in to Talk Story with me and some very special guests every other Monday here at Talk Story with John Waihe'e. Come on in, join us, express your opinion, learn more about your state, and then do something about it. Aloha.
Aloha, and welcome back to Business in Hawaii with Reg Baker. We're here chatting with Andria Tupola, who is an elected official from the Waianae Coast, and she is going to be sharing her experiences and maybe even give us some free advice here.
Yeah, we do have an entrepreneur conference coming up. We call it Pauhana Entrepreneurship Blast. But for this one, we're going to call it a Taste of Waianae Entrepreneurship Blast. So it is free, as Reg stated, July 16th at Kaha'aina Cafe.
Okay, July 16th, all right, which is just next month.
Yeah, so it's on a Saturday from 6 to 8 p.m. It's free if you RSVP, because we do need to get a count for the amount of people for the event. But we are going to feature restaurants and food trucks on the Waianae Coast for the very beginning part of the conference.
Now, the food is going to cost something, or is that free too?
Nope, it's free. So they're going to give you samples of their best menu item. They're going to have the menus displayed as well as business cards, because some of these guys are only open at certain times. Some of them are food trucks, so they're at different locations. So we're going to let people get to know some of the businesses. I think one of the huge things about making economic develop or sustainability for the coast is, where is everyone at? You know, we don't even have a directory in Waianae as far as what businesses are out there, and we don't have a chamber of commerce. So the closest one is Kapolei. So a lot of these businesses are kind of autonomous, you know, if you know where they are, you know where they are, but they're great businesses, but you'd really have to be able to like find their location in order to benefit.
Well, and with the internet we have these days, I know some of the food trucks post their locations, you know, on the internet, on their website, which makes it a little bit easier. But I'm kind of surprised that there isn't a Chamber of Commerce out on that part of town.
Kapolei is the farthest, and I think, I don't know, I just want to say that in Waianae, it's just a little different. You know, even if there was a Chamber of Commerce, I don't know if people have time to kind of network, because everyone is in the grind, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of the business owners, I commend them for coming, but I know they're running their business.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to have them lose business, so they'll send people to come. But for the first half an hour, we're going to do sampling. And then for the next 45 minutes, we're actually going to let everyone who's at the conference network. So Sultan Ventures and I think Accelerate UH, they're going to come together to do little group breakout sessions.
Now these groups are, I mean, they're venture capital, they're funding sources, right? So
Yes.
an opportunity for people to learn about funding.
I hope so, because Sultan Ventures, actually venture capitalists, I do believe they did get some grant funding to help businesses on Lanai, which is not too different than my community. You know, it's very country, it's very, I guess you would call it an immature entrepreneur crowd, where it's just startup businesses, very early stages.
Right.
So I think that part of the conference is always awesome.
And a lot of times people will start their own business out of necessity and not any particular plan. So when that happens, they're kind of struggling. They're trying to figure out how this is all going to work, you know, and they haven't really planned it out very well. It just happened because they didn't have any choices.
Right.
And so having people come out and provide some of this support and help, I think, could be very worthwhile.
Oh yeah, so we have the Waianae Economic Development Council, that is an actual brick and mortar place that businesses can come to, but not a lot of people utilize their resources. So we're hoping when they come to the conference, people can learn how to get a business license, how to file taxes, all of those things.
Yep. Now this is in July.
Yes, July 16th
16.
from 6 to 8 p.m. at Kaha'aina Cafe.
Where is the cafe at?
So if you know where Waianae Coast Comprehensive Health Center is, it's right next to it.
Okay.
So it is a restaurant. It actually has very good food, run by an entrepreneur, and it has a beautiful view of the Waianae Coast.
Wow, nice. And this is going to be, what, lunchtime or afternoon?
6 to 8 p.m. at night.
6 to 8.
And our keynote speaker is David Farmer, the owner of Aloha To Go.
Ah, and Aloha To Go. I mean, this is a delivery service, right?
You know, it seems so simple, but really in Waianae, we only have one place that delivers, Pizza Hut.
Really?
Nobody else delivers, yeah. So as far as gap services, there is so much that could be done on the Waianae Coast to provide services that might fill that gap. Aloha To Go is not a ground-up business. They provide the delivery service for multiple restaurants. So definitely something we could benefit from on the Waianae Coast.
Of course, and from what I understand, I mean, Aloha To Go, they'll actually go to the restaurant, they'll pick up the food, and then they'll deliver it to the house. And it's an independent operation, not connected with the restaurant.
Right.
So yeah, that could be a great service out there.
Yeah, I'm excited because then people can ask David questions, you know, how did he start it up? How is he maintaining and sustaining Aloha To Go? How have they grown? How did they get out there?
Exactly, and I bet you if there's a blockage in the road somewhere when he's full of food to deliver, he'll know who to call. Right?
Unfortunately, everyone knows to call me, so I try to help my coast as much as I can, and really traffic is such a big issue that there's no time that I'm not helping people with traffic, because I know that it affects everyone's daily life.
Well, it sounds like your heart's really into this. This is refreshing. Now, this is the third expo that you've done?
Yeah.
And there was a couple others.
So the first one we did was a panel of business owners, and the first business owner was a egg farmer. Second one was a hairstylist. And the third one was a kappa maker. Very different businesses, but we allowed the group that participated to ask them questions. You know, how long have they been in business? Mm-hmm. Do they have a Facebook? Do they have an Instagram? How do they market themselves? Mm-hmm. How do they pay their taxes? You know, do you have a CPA? Do you have somebody doing your accounting, or do you do it yourself?
Yeah, so no, these are all typical questions that a new business would be asking, and it's good to have somebody to provide those answers.
Right, especially for, I think, artists, like, because we have a lot of artists on the coast, and so the kappa maker, you know, she was saying she loves...
Now, pardon my ignorance, tell me a little bit, what's a kappa?
So kappa is the native Hawaiian cloth that's pounded from the wauke, the bark.
Okay.
So Auntie Delani, she has trees in her yard. She actually strips the bark, soaks the bark, pounds the bark, prints on the bark, creates her own dyes, and all of the decoration you see in Aulani Hotel, she did that.
Now, just out of curiosity, how many people have the skills to do that? I mean,
oh, there's only like, I think 3 kappa makers still alive. Yeah. So she runs her own business out of Makaha, but she was saying, you know, business is not my thing. I'm an artist. So me, accounting, books, she's like, I don't know how to do any of that.
No, but a lot of businesses are like that.
Yeah.
They've got a passion for doing what they're doing, and they enjoy it, and they want to do it. All this peripheral stuff is just humbug. They don't want to get involved with it.
Right.
You know, which is, as a CPA, I'm fine with that.
Well, and so that was the first conference, and then from there, our second conference was all about taxes. We held it in January. We invited SBA, we invited Hawaii Tax Foundation, and we invited Liberty Tax. People just wanted to know, can I file online? Do I not? How much do I pay? How do I get a license? Very simple questions, but yet really a lot of people benefited from that entrepreneur conference.
That's good. And how many people usually show up for these conferences?
We've had between 50 and 75 people, depending on who we partner with. And I'm guessing because this is a food one, this one might be well attended as well. We've invited 6 restaurants so far and food trucks.
Very good. And so we're probably going to double the numbers.
Hopefully. The idea for me is just to continue to grow that networking. You know, if there are people that are just graduated from Waianae High School or Nanakuli High School and they want to start a business, I hope that they're able to see where the gaps are, where you can serve. I think everyone has these great ideas. I'm going to start a nonprofit. I'm going to start... But, I mean, really, when you want to make an impact in a community, you got to determine where can I make that impact? Where is the gap? Then you got to determine what needs to be connected, and then you just got to fill the gap.
Easily said.
That's true. Easily said.
Yeah, the challenge sometimes is in the execution.
Right.
You know,
right.
And I guess, you know, looping back a little bit, I mean, you probably encounter quite a bit of that at the Capitol.
Yeah, actually, I do vlogs. That's a video blog. So that's how I communicate with my community. I make videos of what I've been up to. And my vlog is actually about filling the gap. It's how to make a bigger impact. Because, I mean, let's be realistic. How much impact can a state legislator make? In a body of 51 representatives, 26 senators, governors, DLNR, DOT, DOE, I mean, how much impact can you
Plus
really make?
being relatively new to the process. You know, it's by themselves, maybe not a lot, but if you've got a lot of voices behind you.
Right, exactly. And that's what my argument is, and that's actually what I'm promoting for this coming year is I didn't create change in Waianae. We created change. If I didn't allow the community to weigh in on this, I think I would have been just the same as everyone else, running back to the community saying, I passed a few bills. My question to everyone listening is, do you think that success is based upon how many bills somebody passes?
I would say no. It depends upon how effective those bills are.
Right? But again, at the legislature, that's kind of the MO is if you are successful, then you have passed a bill. My question is our society or communities getting better when we pass, what, this year I think we passed 400. I don't know, everyone, look around Hawaii. Did it get better? Yeah.
Well, but that's a very good point because sometimes success can be how many bills did you defeat?
Maybe, right? And that's what I'm asking people is maybe we need to look at this differently. Instead of basing our success upon that old model, what if the success is based upon how you were able to improve the daily quality of life for the people you serve?
Yeah. Yeah, it's One-Eye's had some challenges, and I'm sure you know that better than I do. And as you mentioned, it's underserved. There's a lot that needs to be done. And it doesn't have to be that expensive to do it.
Right.
To your point, there's a lot of free services that might be available. My wife and I were joking about the fact we just built we renovated a house and we put air conditioning in it. And I can guarantee you, I did not spend $1,000 per room to air condition my house.
Reg is alluding to the cooling the classrooms. I can already tell. Cooling the classrooms, guys. 1,000 classrooms for what was it? 100 million?
Yeah,
something.
Millions.
Millions, right? I want to share a quick success story. Exactly what he's talking about for free. I got elected. The principal at Nanakuli Elementary said, "I only need one thing from you." I said, "Shoot." She's like, "Get that portable out of my parking lot." I was like, "That's it? That's all you needed me to do?" She's like, "Yep, good luck. It's been stuck there for 8 years." For 8 years, you haven't been able to use your parking lot because of the portable? Soon enough, I came to find out there was a lot of personalities that were gridlocked. I was able to ungridlock that. Then the DOE told me it was going to cost me $13,000 to move it. I would like to say to this day, we've moved the portable. The parking lot is now open. The portable is now renovated, and it was all for free.
See, we just got to get creative.
Right. Invite the community. Ask who wants to help. The guy who moved the portable that was quoted for $11,000 lives next to the high school.
And we probably have stories like this we could talk about all day long, but I was involved with the Finance Academy over at McKinley High School for a while. And I was on the board, and they needed simple stuff like a fax machine or something to be able to communicate with the business community. So we arranged for a fax machine to be donated. We weren't allowed to donate the fax machine because the DOE wasn't allowed to take contributions.
Wow.
So the whole thing ground to a halt, and we had to figure out another way to fund an $89 fax machine.
$89.
Yeah, it was crazy. But there's all these little stories that just are so frustrating sometimes.
But every now and then you have some success.
You do.
Yeah.
Well, you obviously have.
Yeah, it's been great. I think, there's a little logo of our upcoming entrepreneurship blast. Please come out if you want to. RSVP at eventbrite.com.
Yeah, it's going to be a great event. There's going to be a lot of information presented at this event and a lot of free advice.
Yes.
It's so nice to hear something that's coming out of the community that helps it doesn't cost anything.
Yes, I
excellent.
agree.
Very good. Well, is there? We're kind of at the end of the show. We're going to be wrapping up soon. Any other message you want to send out to the community or to the public out there that you're just burning to share?
Well, I do so many videos. So if you want to follow me on Facebook or Instagram, I communicate a lot through social media. I do a lot through creative arts because I'm a music teacher. So follow me online. Some of what we share and the videos we create are very inspiring. And I would say that's really what we need in Hawaii is the new fresh look.
Very good. And how would they find you online?
You can type in Andria Tupola. I have a campaign Facebook. I have a representative Facebook. Both of those have different types of videos of me and what we've been doing in the community. Or you can follow me on Instagram at Vote Tupola.
Very good. Well, Andrea, very nice to have you on the show
Thank
today.
you.
You got so much energy and so much enthusiasm. It's great to see it. So thank you very much for everything that you do for the community. This is Reg Baker, Business in Hawaii. We air every Thursday at 2 o'clock, 2 to 2:30 in downtown Honolulu. Look forward to seeing you next week. Aloha.